Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. We're talking all about this topic that is near and dear to my heart, both as a CMO, as well as a CMO who is selling go-to-market AI technology. So this is the something of a sweet spot for me. So again, thanks to our friends at Accord for putting this on. It's super, super valuable stuff. And hopefully you find this session valuable. So let's jump right in. We're talking about how to unify the go-to-market using AI. And something that I think is really important to keep in mind is you hear about this every single day, especially if you're like me and you go on LinkedIn every day. This is dead, outbound's dead, SEO dead, everything is dead. Well, I have news for you. The channels themselves are not dead. What is dead is the playbooks that we're running. And so this is what you need to reinvent. You shouldn't just dismiss outright a channel because you see somebody post about it on LinkedIn. You should dismiss a channel if you're executing on it poorly. So we're going to talk about how do we get here? Well, the reason that these channels are inefficient, the reason that the old playbooks are dead is because what we have done, you and I, we're equally culpable here, is we have scaled plays and scaled playbooks that are both inefficient and ineffective. Oh, we're not getting enough response to our cold emails. Let's just send more emails and then it'll all come out in the wash. Like we've scaled plays that are inefficient and ineffective. We're having a hard time generating leads. Let's just pump as many dollars into search engine marketing as we can and generate more leads. Like inefficient, ineffective. And what this has led to is this problem that's pervasive across go-to-market. It's this problem of go-to-market bloat. It's all of these investments in processes and tools and spend categories and channels and all the things, all these investments that we've made that are yielding underperformance, yielding inefficiency, yielding bad results, negative ROI. And this is what AI can really help change, flip the script on. We can go from this universe of a really bloated go-to-market to a universe of a frictionless, high-velocity go-to-market engine. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, the goal of this, as you think about where is the right place to infuse AI into my go-to-market engine, the goal is that you're at this intersection of a strategy that is comprehensive and systematic across the entire org. If all you do is try and optimize for a component of the go-to-market process, send better emails. And we're going to use AI to write our outbound emails. And that's all you do, you're going to be left wanting because you haven't actually solved the systematic strategic problem of infusing AI across the go-to-market engine. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to explore these 3 use cases that many of us have been trained to think of as different use cases. Oh, we have a team for outbound marketing, and we have a team for account-based marketing. We have a team for that are doing deal coaching and deal management. And we've been trained to think of these things as separate topics with separate people that are responsible for executing on them. Well, I have news for you. All of these are part of a go-to-market engine, and they can and should be as interwoven as if they were a single thing that you're executing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. AI makes it easier to do this. AI makes it easier for the left hand to know what the right hand is doing and to make sure that all of your go-to-market efforts are as coordinated as possible. Before I get into this, though, my dog is whining at the door because this is a live event and these kind of things happen. So she is now out of the office and we can proceed. All right, so outbound prospecting. How do we think about doing effective prospecting? The thing about the outbound channel, and again, it's not dead, the playbook is dead. The thing about the outbound channel that separates it from the rest of the sales and marketing channels, at least that I'm aware of, is it is the only channel that really allows you to get the right message to the right people at the right accounts at the right time. It's the intersection of all 4 of those things. Name me another channel that allows you to do that. Can you do that with ad serving? I don't think so. Can you do that with direct mail? I don't think so. Like this is the only way that I'm aware of that you can get the right message to the right people at the right accounts at the right time. But to do that, you need to actually do real research. It's not just a numbers game where you're blasting out irrelevant emails to as many people as possible, just crossing your fingers and hoping that you're checking all those boxes. What you need to do is you need to have a really in-depth understanding of first your company, like what are your value props, but beyond your value props, what are the strategic initiatives behind the reasons that your value props matter? It's not just that, to use Copy.ai as an example, we can help with AI generated content. That's not the value prop. The value prop is a company has a multi-industry go-to-market, and we can help them take a piece of content that was written for manufacturing and re-swizzle it for financial industry. Like that is the strategic initiative that we need to attach ourselves to. So really have a good understanding of your value props in the context of why people buy your software, the real reasons, the reason behind the reason why people buy your software. So that's number one. Number two, we can put AI to work to go and do really deep research on accounts and on people. Now, when we put AI to work to go do research on accounts, what we're doing is we're codifying the best practices ways that a human would go do research on those accounts. So using AI, you can codify the exact questions that you ask and answer about every account that you care about. What are they hiring for? What is the CEO talking about? Press releases, product launches, interviews, industry trends, a little bit about their sales process. When does their fiscal year start? Whatever it is that you're interested in, AI is very good at doing this research and synthesizing that into a meaningful account plan that you can use to inform your outbound prospecting. AI can do the same thing for contact research, real intelligence about the people that you're reaching out to, way more than where'd they go to school and what's their title. Like that's not real contact intelligence. What we need to understand is what have been their public appearances, podcasts, webinars they've been on, what are they posting about on LinkedIn, what's top of mind for them, so that we can have real useful ideas of how we can sell into them, market into them with sales angles that are going to be resonant. And then personal knowledge, to the extent that we can understand what makes a person tick, that makes our outbound messaging all the better. And so the kind of workflow orientation that you may see here is codifying all the different areas that you want to do research on. I mentioned them, I rattled them off already. I'm not going to do it again, but you see that list of things that you can train the AI to go out and do research on. And then on the right side of the screen here, you see a little bit of a synthesis of all of this research that is connected to my value prop at Copy.ai. So now I've done all of this. I've trained AI to do all of this research that used to take me a couple hours to do as a person. Now I get this initial report done in minutes, and now I can use this to inform my outbound prospecting. The problem that often exists is if, and it's a pretty big if, but if this account planning process was ever even done, it was done by an SDR, sales development rep, or maybe done by a salesperson or something like that, and that account plan falls into some black hole. It's in their notes app. It's somewhere on a private computer where nobody else can access it. And that's a major problem, because what it means is that you have one set of research that's powering one channel in your go-to-market mix, your outbound channel, but it's not being used by anybody else. So the goal of outsourcing the research to AI is not just to make the research better. It's also to make sure that the outputs of that research, what we were looking at on the previous screen, making sure that those outputs make them or put themselves in a place where everybody across your go-to-market engine has access to them. It's in a Google Drive folder somewhere, SharePoint, or it's shared in a Teams channel, or it's in the CRM. It's somewhere that's actually accessible by everybody across your business. So you can avoid this black hole problem, and you can make sure that everybody across your go-to-market engine, for account-based marketing, for sales, for post-sales, for whatever it is, has access to all that high-fidelity research that you've done. That is a segue into the next use case that we're talking about here, account-based marketing. If you have all of that research, notice the Venn diagram on this page is very similar to the Venn diagram on the outbound prospecting page. To do great account-based marketing, we need to really understand our accounts. And often what a lot of people do is they say, yeah, of course we do account-based marketing. One page has a Pepsi logo and the other page has a Coca-Cola logo. That's ABM. It's like, no, it is not ABM. All you've done is a logo swap. Not interesting to the buyer. Remember, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a great buyer experience. Now, if you've already done the research that's informing your outbound prospecting, that same research on the accounts that you're reaching out to, on the contacts you're reaching out to, the industry research that you've done, whatever it may be, that same research can be used to power the assets that make up your account-based marketing mix. And the virtue of this, taking the same sales angles that you just saw and turning them into ABM assets, is now what the person sees in the ads that they get, and the landing pages that they get, and the events they get invited to, and the long form content they see from your company is the same exact topics, the same themes, the same value props as the outbound channel. The left hand knows what the right hand is doing. And now you're starting to create a very unified buyer experience. I can't tell you both on, as somebody who's been practicing SDR and demand gen type stuff for a dozen years, and who's on the receiving end of a lot of this type of thing, the outbound and the ads and all the rest, it's very rare for there to be total coordination and total cohesion between what the sales team is saying about the product they're selling and what the market. So now you can unify all of that process to make sure that the buyer experience, what they realize, is consistency. And that is a huge, huge part of what we're trying to do here from an outbound standpoint, from an ABM standpoint, is build awareness. You're going to build awareness better if you're consistent in the messaging that you're bringing to the table. And so instead of your marketing channels, remember we talked about before, the old playbook for search engine marketing is just flushing money down the toilet and hoping that one of your arrows hits the target. We're going to serve these keywords and just hope that we find the right people because their search intent or whatever it may be. Instead of that approach, now we know what the messaging should be. Now we know what ads to serve, what content to serve, what landing page experience to create. We know because we've done the research. So instead of shooting all these different arrows and just hoping and praying that something hits the mark, now you can more or less guarantee that that right message is going to be getting in front of those right people at the right accounts at the right time. And your outbound channel and your ABM channel are as unified as possible. Remember, we're trying to unify the go-to-market experience. Now, those are both top of funnel things. How are we building awareness? How are we educating the market about what we do? How are we making sure that we're keeping the top of funnel filled? And that's very useful. But this is a living, breathing exercise. And most companies do not do this. Most companies from an outbound standpoint say, okay, we got the opportunity created, our work here is done. Or most ABM marketing teams will say, hey, we got that lead in the door, MQL, MQA, our work here is done. That's not it. It's not it, because the deal's not signed yet. You haven't actually generated any revenue. All you've done is create an opportunity, which is great and very hard, but don't pat yourselves on the back too soon. The assets that you create, the outbound channel that you have, the ABM channel that you have, and all of the downstream deliverables are living and breathing. And you're going to learn more about how to position yourself after every single call that you have. So as you're managing deals, what are you going to get now? You're going to get call transcripts where you're going to get you're going to get your hypotheses tested. So you may think you know what the right sales angles are. You may think you know what strategic initiatives matter to executives, but you may be wrong. And you're going to find that strategic initiative A is more important than B. And so we're going to sell against that. And now that you have these transcripts, you can use those sales call transcripts to inform the way that you continue to iterate on the types of things that you are processing. And the types of things that you're creating. So if you look here, you see a version of a transcript. We use Gong internally, so this is a screenshot of Gong. And then you see the AI going to work and saying, what is happening or not happening inside of this account? And what should we do differently as a result of this? This is a laundry list of recommendations that the AE could take in order to strengthen this deal. But it's the same sort of thing that an ABM marketer could take, or that an SDR who's still engaged with this account could take to help with the multi-threading, to help with the message resonance, to help create the surround sound so that the buyer experience is as good as possible. And the reason that this is so important is because often the sales reps, this is the experience for sales reps. All right, sales rep, here's the opportunity. Good luck. And they just go base jumping and just hope that they can close some account, hope they don't die. That's not a good way to run a deal cycle, especially now. B2B deals are so much more complicated than that, and it requires a much more unified approach. So if you really think about your go-to-market engine as being connected, as being a living, breathing exercise, as being a mechanism for delivering that hyper-consistent, hyper-relevant messaging to all of the members of the buying group at whatever stage in the deal cycle, this is how you're going to start to really have a flywheel type approach where the research that you do for your outbound informs a lot of your inbound channels, informs the way that you're managing deals and selling against those strategic initiatives, which will then inform the way that you outbound to that same company or to the next company that's having a similar sort of set of problems. And this is the way that you can create this really useful surround sound experience for every member of the buying group inside of the account. You are sharp on the research that you've done. So you're sharp on the strategic initiatives you're selling against. You are ensuring that every single touch point that every member of the buying group sees is thematically linked. I know I sound like a broken record, but every ad, every piece of content, every event they get invited to, every outbound email is all consistent. And this is the way that you really start to build a groundswell. You really show the account and show the members of the buying group that you understand what they're trying to make happen and that you can help. And this is what's been missing. This is the old, this doesn't exist. Like this playbook, this is the playbook we all know we should be running. If I asked you, what is the best, most optimal way to break into any single account? You would tell me, do all these things. And then I would say to you, okay, now we need to do that for 1,000 accounts. Yeah, oh, no, we can't do that. Well, now you can. Now you can, by finding the right processes to outsource to AI, finding the right ways to infuse those AI workflows across your go-to-market strategy so that everything is as connected as possible. That is what we are all responsible for doing today. This is what the operators of today have to do, is we have to rethink a lot of the playbooks. Think about the channel. The channels are the channels. They're not changing and they're not dead. But what they need is they need an injection of new energy. They need a newness. They need a new playbook for what is possible to do today that was not possible to do before. And if you take the time and energy to really infuse AI across all of these different plays that you're running across the whole go-to-market engine, you will stand out head and shoulders above the crowd, and you will unify your own internal team. So thank you very much. I hope that was useful. I'm always around. If you have any questions or comments about any of this, you can track me down on LinkedIn, and I hope to hear from you then. Thanks so much.